Hello Stalkers, it's me, and I'm currently passing through the brain scorch. Welcome to Chernobyl, a wonderful place and a simulator for the average Eastern European experience. Because you see, in Chernobyl, even the safest areas are trying to make you explode. If it isn't cloaking mutants slashing you in half, it's ruthless bandits trying to blow a golf ball sized hole in your chest so they can steal your 4 pieces of mouldy bread and the salted sausage you've got in your back pocket. I can understand if you may ask, why the fuck would anybody want to come here? And what if I told you it's for a more noble reason than you might first think? Money. You see, after the Soviet Union decided it didn't like health and safety and decided to set fire to one of its nuclear reactors, it turned out that kind of messes up the area located immediately around it. That area being the Chernobyl exclusion zone, where this game takes place. And because of that aforementioned meltdown, and also probably some other morally dubious experiments going on around the same time, the Chernobyl exclusion zone is now home to a variety of wacky and zany artifacts and anomalies, all of which will kill you stone dead if you aren't careful. The zone doesn't care for you, and nobody else will. In Chernobyl, you're a loner, and you've only got yourself to rely on. So check your ammo, check your supplies, and make sure your armor and weapons are repaired, and you just might make it out alive, or you'll get eaten by mutants. Stalker 2 is the latest installment in the Stalker franchise, taking place after Call of Pripyat and is set in our glorious modern day. Now with even more bandits, mutants and horrific anomalies that all want you and anyone in your general area dead or turned inside out. The newest Stalker has a lot of new faces running around, from new characters to whole new factions. Even if you know a lot about the series, there's a lot more to learn about and discover from the zone. However, I do recommend playing in Ukrainian voice acting, because the English dub is
Hey, soldier over here. What do you call 3 dead wardens up the zone's ass? A good start.
Also, the game takes place in Ukraine, so it does kind of make sense. Similarly, it has many new anomalies and mutants ready to murderize you, from weird little rat things to ghosts. Everything wants you dead, whether that be from the new kingpins who have established themselves in the zone, to the new kinds of anomalies that will freeze dry your balls because, I don't know, they find it funny. You play as Skiff, a random guy whose house burnt down because the zone decided it hated him and teleported an artifact directly into his laundry basket. The laundry, however, was unharmed. What are the lore implications of this? So now, Skiff has ventured into the zone to find a way to profit from the artifact. And, with those profits, rent in London for 1 whole year. It should go without saying that the game is a little bit buggy, and can run slightly poorly. It's all stuff I would think would be fixed eventually, but the Stalker devs have probably the only pass for a game releasing in such a state, that being the active bombing of their studio and losing much of the dev team to the current war in Ukraine. It's sad that it's all going on, but the game released in a far better state than I would expect from any other dev team whilst their country is fighting an active war. Speaking of war, combat in the zone is either over in 2 seconds or lasts for 5 years and drains all of your supplies like an Ethiopian child to any form of sustenance. Human enemies and the larger mutants seem to soak multiple mags of ammunition, which is probably due to the difficulty slider. I played on Stalker difficulty, but I would like the difficulty increase to maybe be an increase in damage and enemies rather than them just being tanky AF. Even so, headshots still one-shot, so it gets to the point of just waiting for one-tap headshots on human enemies, rather than shooting them normally because it just makes the fight drag on if you do. So I find the tankiness of the enemies can really bring the pacing down, because it's the same for mutants. I fought this teleporting dog thing, and it took multiple 12-gauge buckshot rounds to kill it. And I mean multiple rounds, to the point most of its body probably was made up of at least 60% lead. So I personally think that the tankiness could do with a tone down. I know that's how the original Stalker was, but I'll talk more on that later. Now, when moving around the place, fighting, scavenging and surviving, you will inevitably have to use the controls. I'd be surprised if you found a way around that part, because the controls are a little weird to get used to. For your quick use items, you get 4 slots, and 2 of them you have to hold down the Q or E button to use it. So, I'm constantly trying to lean and accidentally using an item. Similarly, it also isn't visible all the time, and when a spot runs out, the item will automatically replace it with another item, which often leads to me forgetting what was in there and having to stop and open my inventory to get it to show up. When running around the zone, this isn't too bad, but during combat, it can get slightly, just minusculingly, just microscopically annoying. Especially when you use the wrong item and waste a medkit, or use another item when you wanted to use a medkit. You can cancel it by opening the weapon wheel, but it took me a time frame I'm not willing to admit to till I figured that out. The open world in Stalker is about what you'd expect from an open world game. It's open and improved from the older games. It's all one map rather than a bunch of smaller maps intertwined, and similarly, there are plenty of places to explore and random events to come across. A-Life is a bit buggy right now, but I'm sure it will be fixed. However, these improvements are a given though. I would be worried if the technology for the map hadn't improved since the first game came out. Stalker 2 Modern Warfare 2, Electric Forcloses, is essentially a remake of the original Stalker. Same premise, same tanky enemies, same locations. But it's all bigger and better, so whilst it is a good game, it makes the old games obsolete. Which is fine, but I do wish they expanded on the Stalker formula at least a little bit, rather than just making the old games but better. But it is nice to see an FPS game that pulls away from the formula a little bit more than other open world games like, say, the Far Cry series, i.e. by having no leveling, RPG elements or companions. It's only you and your skill, and your massively modified armor and weapons. If you are hoping for a game like Far Cry, or the modded Stalker games like Anomaly or Stalker Gamma, you'll be disappointed, but I'm sure the devs of those games will be slicing and dicing the game up with mods in no time. Some things I hope they improve on is 1, the UI controls, as I mentioned earlier, but also ammo. I can change ammo at will, but I don't know what ammo I'm changing to. The ammo I selected shows itself in the bottom corner, but even then it's such a small image, half the time I don't know what I'm selecting. Secondly, food. It feels like just kinda ham-fistedly put in. Every now and then you need to eat, but the game showers you in bread that I just don't see the point in it. So, all in all, I give Stalker 2 8 AKMs out of 4 delicious Tushanka beef stews. Now give us that salted sausage.